Here's the thing on these luxury high-end houses that nobody talks about. There are so many details and moving parts that you have to connect right from the planning stage. You have a house, a footing, a foundation, and the floor system. What is the only variable that you oftentimes in single family do not know? That's going to be everything below grade. Picture this is the grade. Gentle slope. We're going to call it roughly 24 inches of slope in here. We need to have a suitable ground condition for bearing capacities to handle the load and weight of this house. What this looks like, and this is a pretty normal scenario. Picture this, you got a ground, gentle slope, and now what you want to do is you're going to come in here with an excavator or a shovel, if serious handiwork. But this is the excavation, red. What you're going to do, safety, WC rules, you can't go more than 4 feet of an exposed vertical edge because it may fall in on you. Key, chamfer your top edges, cut them down. You're going to come in here with the excavator and you're going to dig out all of this earth that was in here. And you're going to expose the bearing native soils. Generally in our area, it's going to be a hard, stony clay layer, that organic layer, gravel. It's going to turn into something a little mucky, but the roots are penetrating. But it's going to be a distinct difference. I'll show you undisturbed. You want soil that has not been touched by anything, in our case, since the glaciers rolled over it millennia ago. What that's going to look like when you clean it up. You come along, you cut into it, you're going to see grade changes in there. It's going to follow a little bit of a different This natural grade back in the day, chances are, did something like this. And a developer or a homeowner came in, thought it'd be a good idea to get rid of this swale or to fill it in and make it level. Well, now you've just added all this to make it look pretty. This needs to come out and this needs to come out. And a tremendous amount of trucking potentially on a smaller lot involved in that. Humongous amount of cost that you cannot see standing there with the naked eye. What's our intent in this stage? It's to see what is happening below, see what the bearing looks like. What does this process look like now? When we do this, generally we have geotechs involved in this stage of the process. They're going to come in, tell us, yep, looks good, it's nice and clean. We need to now fill that in. How do you do that? 12-inch lifts generally, structural, graded, fill, and compacted. And then same thing down here. What's this look like? And maybe it doesn't look like that. Maybe you have a fill layer that does something like that. So we've come in here, geotechs have signed off on it. We've compacted all this fill in 12-inch lifts the entire way up to give us bearing capacity. This is a critical step. This is what we call a key part of your build. This has hands and eyes from our direct management team and a Cameron involved in all these steps. If you picture doing this part wrong or you miss a step, don't have sign off, or you put subpar fill in here, you are putting your house at risk for the rest of its life. You're gonna have drywall cracks happening later, foundations splitting, all kinds of things you don't want to be messing with, because the consequences to them, an issue in this area will cost tens of thousands if you're lucky, but probably hundreds of thousands of dollars later. Let's take a look at this now. A little bit of clearance, 1 meter over excavation. You're not going to stick a footing in here. Notice how I ran past the cut. That's going to mean you're going to avoid the weak spot in here, and this would generally not be done in such a big area. You're gonna again cut that out, get a nice square piece. Rebar, reinforcing, that's another topic. And you can make a step. Here's the step I was talking about. So you can see it's been all dug in here. It's kind of washed out now that we've done the pipe, but you can see natural grade here. Extend the footing out. We're also going to have rebar running diagonally through here to prevent any cracks from forming in those areas. Same thing down a little further. So you can see at this point, we have isolated all the risks associated with any job site below grade. After we're at this stage, this is poured and secure. You pour your concrete in here, you are now bulletproof. There is not a thing in here that can make this site at risk anymore. Rain, snow, whatever happens, you're not going to deteriorate the ground below it. Critical step, this is what we call safety. Everything from this point is calculable. It's only square footage of concrete, square footage of framing, material used in, labor used in. Variables are isolated on this site now. Let's take you to the job site. We're gonna look at these components a little bit more close up. Coming at you from on site, let's take a look at the layers of standard ground around here. You got your organics layer. You're gonna see roots in this section, plants, grass. It's fluffy, it's light. There's not much substance to it. You get down a little deeper, you're gonna get into a little bit of undisturbed, but guess what? You still got roots penetrating into this area. You wanna get rid of those. Last thing you want is to pour your footings and have little sprouts underneath it. You can see a clear, defined layer where it gets lighter. You can tell it's undisturbed. The roots are not reaching it. In this case, we're what, 18, 24 inches down? Again, clearly defined layers. You could probably arguably build in this layer. We took it down here. And of course, we're on the high side of the build right now. Gradually slopes down this way. Another key thing to note, you can see that we're almost level with the grade here. You got to work with the easiest, highest spot possible, match your grade, and go out from there. As the grade drops, it would be below your floor, so you'd have to end up retaining outside here to deal with that. Again, the foresight in this stage of the build is absolutely critical. Here's the step I was talking about. So you can see it's been all dug in here. It's kind of washed out now that we've done the pipe, but you can see natural grade here. Extend the footing out. We're also going to have rebar running diagonally through here to prevent any cracks from forming in those areas. Same thing down a little further. Biggest part when you're doing steps is you have to go to the highest point possible and match your grade for the lowest point possible. This is going to avoid steps in the footings as much as possible, particularly if it's a basement like this house. You can see how much we've excavated here, roughly 4 feet into the hard pan. That would have been tough, and I can tell because there is teeth marks from the bucket in here. It means he was clawing away at this thing to get the fill out. Machinery is the most expensive per hour piece of equipment you can have on the job site. Excavators, trucking, and fill. So if you do the foresight in these, plan it effectively, get in, get out, make it the most effective possible. I was also mentioning rainwater, storm surfaces, all that kind of thing. You have to find the lowest breakout point around the house. Make sure your footings are well above it so you got tons of grade to get out. And in this case, look at these footings. They are absolutely massive in this house. I'm assuming this is relating to seismic ratings. I haven't looked into the specs on these, but what indicates that to me is there is great big hardware built right into the foundation. Again, tons of foresight. If you only did your standard 1 meter offset on this hole and you didn't account for this extra footing hanging off the edge, you would under excavate, start your footings, and they're going to tell you they don't fit. You have to bring a machine back, dig it out, or send Jimmy Boy in here to dig that out by hand, and that would suck. You can really see the intent of this house was taking advantage of views and heights. It's about an 8-foot foundation wall here, and we're at grade on the other side of the property. But that is all on purpose to take advantage of the beautiful views. And why wouldn't you pay for a couple extra feet of concrete to take advantage of the most glorious views in all of British Columbia? Again, if you're green at this stuff, you're not going to think about it. But retaining, this is decks. These are retaining walls right here, which means that the grade, finished grade, is going to roughly be about this level. Look at these little details in here that just add a little bit of complexity, a little bit of finesse to the final product, because these are going to be exposed. Chamfered edges, inlays on all your seams so you don't just see a rough line where the forms join. Add a piece of little form ply in there. It's going to build that chamfer detail right into it, giving you a seamless, beautiful look at the end of the day. Tell me, have you ever seen a deck that can handle 100 loads of fill? That's one right there. You can see here we've got the dam proofing, waterproofing Delta wrap on the actual house structure itself. That means everything in here 8 feet tall is going to get filled up. And the little details you're going to notice here, look at that. You're right, it's on an angle. That angle there allows for any rainwater that lands on this deck to drain right off the outside edge, making it seamless when we come along behind this, fill it up with fill, come in here, form up a big, beautiful bullnose curve for a concrete stamped deck, and is going to drain water out, keeping your house safe and keeping a beautiful surface on here at the end of the day.